Hey guys, it's Lola, but you can call me Lola if you like.
Hi, this is Velisa, and you can call me Vels if you want. And this is the Everybody Hates HR podcast. Ready to give your performance and talent management a serious upgrade?
Meet TeamFlex, the all-in-one platform built for companies using Microsoft Teams and Outlook. With TeamFlex, you can manage goals and OKRs, run unbiased performance reviews, and share recognition and feedback, all without ever leaving Teams.
No more clunky spreadsheets, no more Word docs, and definitely no more chasing people around.
As an official Microsoft partner, TeamFlex keeps all your performance management and employee engagement processes right where your team already works.
From performance review templates embedded into Microsoft Teams to viewing goal progress inside ongoing team meetings, it offers seamless integration with your Microsoft 365 ecosystem.
Organizations all over the world are already powering up their teams with TeamFlex. That's TeamFlex, TeamFlect, because great teams deserve tools that reflect them.
Looking to join them?
Try it free today at teamflex.com.
Woo.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. How are you?
I'm good. I'm still trying to cope with the school run. Nothing has changed.
I believe that you're going to become one of these like mothers who just like kill the school run, kill the day. I think you're actually already doing it, because there's some times when you've been awake and dressed and ready to start your day, and it's the wee hours, man.
Yeah, but I haven't incorporated work.
Is that this week?
Yeah.
Were you not working last week?
The strikes.
Because going into work, you mean?
Yeah, going into work. So I've been working from home. So this will be the first full week where I'm actually doing the school run and going into the office. Yeah, so I'll let you know how that goes.
Strikes are over now though, right?
Yeah, they're finished. Yeah. It was
Thank
good while it lasted.
I actually had to travel up north for work, and I had to go on one of the days where there was strikes, but because of where I live, I can just get the train to King's Cross, where I pick up the train that takes me up north. So it actually wasn't bad at all. But yeah, I'm glad it's over now as well, because it was just my train was just a little bit busier, and I prefer it not to be.
Yeah, but also I saw a lot of people speaking about it. It just goes to show how dead work from home culture is now for a lot of companies in the UK. Just seeing how many people were still trying to get into the office. Like, I don't know if you saw it. It was on Twitter. I don't know if they put it on TikTok.
The sea of umbrellas.
No, not even that. Somebody put in their like Slack group or Teams group, oh, it took me about 4 hours to get to work today. And their manager replied with a thumbs up.
That is crazy. Also, I just think it's crazy that, like, when there's a strike, and maybe this is like we was talking about millennial manager versus what, if there's a strike and it's going to be hard for you to get in and you don't need to be in, like, we're not all working in retail, do you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be in. It's possible for you to do your work from home. We can work around it. Why would you want to subject somebody to that?
That's what I'm saying.
And also, or maybe because maybe they didn't live in, do you know what, 4 hours to get to work, I'm a little bit suspicious, because where are you coming from?
But I feel like if you left during the peak time.
But where are you coming from? Because if you're coming from outside of London, most of the trains were working, or were there some trains that weren't working? Actually, some of the train lines weren't working as well.
Yeah, there were delays. There were a lot of delays, and obviously there's a lot of people trying to get on.
4 hours is crazy though.
4 hours is mad.
Maybe door to door, and maybe it usually takes you 2 hours or something.
Yeah, but also I'm not expecting my manager to just give me a thumbs up. Say,
no, that's crazy.
If you need to leave a little bit earlier, please do so. Something, give me something.
If someone said to me, oh, it took 4 hours to come into the office, I would be like, oh my God, why didn't you tell me? Like, you just, if you need to go home, just go home.
Yeah,
and
like
don't
for
worry
the rest
about
of the week, don't worry.
Yeah, the thumbs up is crazy. Like, oh yeah, thumbs up. That is crazy.
Yeah, but it just goes to show how like dead work from home culture is.
I don't think it's dead. I just think some
dead.
companies they just don't care.
A lot of companies are moving to the 5 days a week. Like Microsoft have announced they're going to start soon in 2026. I'm sure it's only a matter of time before more companies follow. You know, there's quite a few that are announcing.
But 5 days?
Yeah. Going back
Microsoft?
to 5. Yeah, they're going back to 5
Microsoft, the company that created Teams?
Yep. It's like Zoom. Remember when Zoom went back to the office?
Yeah. Anyway, there's loads of other things that I think, anyway. That's a bit shocking, actually. Yeah, but strikes, I just think, is a good way to kind of see the culture of a company and how they respond to that sort of thing. Yeah. I just can't imagine telling somebody that they need to come in during strike when I know it's going to be awful for them to get in. And just from a productivity perspective, you don't want people using unnecessary time when they could be spending working. I think if there's something that you critically need to be in for, do it. But most things can actually be moved.
Yeah. Like people, by the time you get into work, you've had people coughing on you, sneezing on you. People are sweating. It's hot. You're tired. You're high strung. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's been touching you, squeezing up against you. And then now you want me to come into the office and pretend that I'm happy to be here when, like, my journey was hell.
Because some of the lines were working, right? Some of the lines were working.
But they were so busy.
Yeah.
Like, when I looked up, because my line's the Elizabeth line, which wasn't affected, but there were delays, and also it just looked horrible because it's the alternative to the underground, because it goes to very similar locations. So it was just like, no.
I actually went to Enish on Sunday, the Sunday before. Yeah, I went to Enish on Sunday. And so my train comes into Charing Cross. And then I was
Enish is a restaurant,
Enish is a Nigerian restaurant. Yeah. So one of my old colleagues from like a contract that I did like maybe beginning of last year, 2 years ago or something, I don't know. She's Asian, and she was like, she's never been to a Nigerian restaurant. So we decided to go to Enish because there's one in Oxford Street now. And my plan was just to go in Charing Cross and walk from there. But I was just like, I was running late. And then I went to the Bakerloo line, and then it was closed. And I was like, even if it was just 2 stops, it was so inconvenient. And I can't imagine what it would have been like if I actually had to get to work, because my truth is that I got a cab. But I got a cab from Charing Cross. But, imagine if you actually have to go to work and then it's just all that extra inconvenience before your day. It will just scramble your head.
Literally.
But yeah, anyway, we support the strikers. We said that already. I actually posted an old TikTok that we did like years ago, literally like 2 years ago. I posted it to TikTok, and everyone was laughing because it's just a lot of people actually, I think, kind of conceptually support the strike. Yeah. It's just more the inconvenience that it causes. But yeah, I think I'm never going to join this kind of race to the bottom mentality. Like, just pay people livable wages, actually negotiate with people if you want them to do other things. If you want them to work at night, pay them as such. If inflation is increasing, pay them as such. And generally, I've never seen an unreasonable strike done. I've never seen like a union come together and just make unreasonable demands. Yes, yeah. So, yeah, we support you guys.
Yeah. What we don't support.
Yes. What we don't, go on.
Is the protest that happened this weekend that just went, led by that idiot, Tommy Robinson.
That criminal.
And then Elon Musk made what
did he do?
He made like a digital appearance
at the Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, saying like, he's supporting them taking back their country. But I just couldn't believe it. Like, I saw the turnout. Like,
I can't even. I think last time I checked, they said it was like going to be 35,000 people.
The turnout was crazy, and also the black people. So wait, shame on you.
Yeah, what are we talking about? So basically,
yeah, sorry.
And it's really interesting. We were talking about it before we started the pod, because we always say these things that you don't know who you're working alongside and next to. So this weekend, whenever you listen to this, it was this weekend on the 13th of September. There was a protest. Yeah, it was a protest, and it was kind of all the people that support Tommy Robinson, but it was packaged as supporting we want to protect our kids. And the idea is that, when they're not happy about the people that are coming in on the small boats, asylum seekers, refugees, etc., and how they believe that they're very dangerous, and we're losing our country, or they're losing their country, because obviously they wouldn't say that I was part of that. They're losing their country to foreigners, essentially.
Part of it was triggered in Essex with, allegedly there was a refugee that came over and sexually assaulted a young girl.
Yeah.
And that has added fuel to the fire of all of this.
Yes, exactly.
Stuff.
So
in addition to the other side of just even the flags.
Yeah. So there's just been this movement which started as like raise your flag. It was supposed to be for like patriotism and stuff. Anyway, they all came to London to do a protest, and I think a lot of the people probably were not from London.
There were 3 coaches from like Wales, Liverpool, all the way down to London.
Yeah, so a lot of people coming in, despite the tube strike can't stop people. For some real. People, coming into London, and they did the protest, and I think largely it was actually okay, but there was some fighting. There was also counter protests, basically people protesting against that protest. Kind of inclusion, refugees are welcome here, that sort of thing. There was some disruption, like some of those protesters ended up fighting the police, which I kind of just think is a bit ironic when you're kind of there as a patriot to fight against the government. It's a bit insane. It's a bit ironic, but yeah, that happened. I guess when we're linking it back to like the workplace and stuff, sometimes I'm just like, it really scares me because some of the people there, I mean, we'll just call a spade a spade. Like a lot of the people there are just racist. I'm sure there are some people who genuinely believe that inviting kind of refugees or allowing more asylum seekers is going to reduce the safety of the country because maybe they're undocumented and all the stuff. So I'm sure there are some people there who maybe have a slightly more valid reason, but a lot of it is just fueled by racism. And so they were chanting, like I saw at one point, one of the videos I saw was like someone said, F off back to Gaza. And I was like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, it's just stupid. It's very racist, but also it's just stupid. So I just think like these people, even though we would like to assume, and the stereotype would be like, they're on benefits, blah, blah, blah. A lot of these people will have jobs.
Yeah.
They will be normal, quote unquote, contributing members of society.
A lot of them are jobless, but...
jobless and they say toothless as well, but... But some of them will have jobs. Mm-hmm. And there are some people who will be working alongside other people of colour and there are some people of colour that went to go and join those protests. I just think that's ridiculous. But you will be working alongside people that have these views. And I wonder, number one, if you have been caught, like, will there be any backlash of people that have been caught doing racist things? I think joining the march, no one can say there's an issue with that inherently as an employer. But if you're caught at the march on CCTV or on someone's camera and you're saying something racist, will there be any consequences for anyone? Is anyone going to be identified? Will anyone lose their jobs? And on top of that, even if you ask everybody, this is not going to come out in time, but everybody should be asking people what they did this weekend. Like in America when they were like, where were you on, what day am I talking about?
The January 6th.
Yeah, January 6th. Everyone needs to be asking their colleagues, where were you on September 13th? Because we need to know. But there will be people that like, will they come into work and talk about it? No. Like, how was your weekend? Or will they come into work and not talk about it?
They might say they took a trip to London.
Maybe.
But they won't say what they were doing.
We need to be asking the right questions. Because there was actually a case, bringing it kind of more into HR, there was a case, I'll find the details, but basically it was ruled that you can be harassed, like by overhearing harassment of somebody else.
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
So we can get into the details of it, but I can imagine that knowing that somebody went to that protest and knowing that you are maybe, a person of colour, you may even have, at some point been an asylum seeker, knowing that someone went there to oppose that, how would that make you feel in the workplace? And could that be seen as harassment? And even if someone's talking about, we don't want refugees here, or, I don't support, the small boats, and let's say you were a refugee or even just a person of colour, is that enough to have said that you were being harassed?
Possibly.
I'm going to find the details.
Yeah, possibly. But in general, I think it's so scary. And I understand why in the workplace we don't talk about politics, religion, etc. I know we're supposed to keep that to ourselves. But what comes with that is genuinely not knowing who you work with and how they actually feel about various different things. You might think they're an okay person, but they might be one of those burner accounts that are just spewing racist comments or Islamophobic comments on social media. Like, you just don't know who you're working with. You really don't. You don't.
Yeah. So this was it. So an employment tribunal has ruled that an employee who overheard colleagues making sexual remarks at work was subjected to unlawful harassment, even though the comments were not directed at him. So, he basically said that he felt sexually harassed, or he felt harassed by the comments. And the panel said that someone who hears it may take offense to it, and that's the risk that you choose by having this sort of conversation in open earshot in the workplace. So obviously this specific one was about sexual harassment, and this colleague had overheard a lot of kind of sexually explicit conversation. And that is the risk that you take. And I definitely think that, definitely when it comes to women, there'll probably be a lot of it. And sometimes when it comes to race, or I think people are more likely to be openly kind of misogynistic than they are to be kind of openly racist. I agree. Yeah. You're more likely to be openly misogynistic around women than you are to be openly racist around people of color.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it can be like, you might not be saying something about a black person, but you might be saying something about people from a specific country, or like people from, I don't know, a particular group, which is not even about your group. So someone might say something about Asians around me, but I could still be offended by it because of the sentiment involved. And I think that is going to be so relevant for people who went to the protests. But I just don't think a lot of them will be honest about it.
They won't. But I'm hoping that some people have been caught on the news, on TikTok, on Instagram, and someone's like, hey, I know you. You're the manager at blah, blah, blah.
We need to start a campaign. Because, look, people can have their own political views, but I think when those views are kind of like just rooted in racism, or the way you use them is clearly racist. Like, they were chanting really racist things like during that. And so then there's so many people's faces there, and they're not even scared. It just makes me feel like either you're actually jobless, or you know that the people who you work with probably have similar views, or you just don't think that you'll ever get identified and caught.
Yeah. That's all scary.
Do you think, it kind of brings me on to another case. So the case was about a lady, I think her name was something Kalina, and she was a Russian-born British citizen, and she went for a job, and she felt like she did really well in the interview, and ultimately she didn't get the job. There were two different roles that she went for. The first one she didn't get it, and she was put forward for another one, and in between the first and the second one she had explained that she had depression, and then she didn't get the job, and she felt like it was discrimination. So she put forward a claim for race discrimination on the basis that she was Russian, sex discrimination because she was a woman, and then disability discrimination because she said she had depression. But then the judge didn't uphold it, and when they looked at the evidence internally, there was records which just said that the team vibed more with the other candidate. So they had said, we just picked the other candidate because they were a better fit. And we hear all this stuff about cultural fit, blah blah blah, but they said they just felt like the other candidate was a better fit. And even though it had been noted that she had depression because she told them, that wasn't the reason. And then the judge basically had said that it was really interesting. The judge said that, sometimes it's actually okay to pick somebody based on the fact that they're a better fit for the team. And he used an example which he admitted was very extreme, but he basically said, let's say you're a small company and everybody supports Arsenal, and then you interview a couple of different candidates and both of them are appointable. And that was the main thing, like they both could do the job. But one of them supports Arsenal and one of them supports Tottenham. He was like, it would be fair enough to say, well, you're going to take the candidate who supports Arsenal because bringing in the Spurs fan might kind of cause some disquiet and some discomfort or some kind of...
he said it would disrupt the harmony.
Yes, it would could disrupt the harmony of the office, because if you all kind of go to, Arsenal games or support Arsenal and then you just get literally bringing in a rival, it could disrupt the harmony of the office environment. And I just thought that was really funny, because I was like, that feels insane. But we say a lot of stuff around cultural fit. And the reason I bring that up is I'm like, if you have a very left-leaning team where you have things like people are having certain conversations, they're kind of pro-Palestine, or at least pro kind of ending everything that's happening. And, I don't know, the policies they support are typically very left-leaning. Mm-hmm. And then you bring in somebody who has a super conservative like kind of view, and you might not know that, but maybe they're like in their spare time they're a Tory councillor or something, or worse, they volunteer with Reform, and you have a very left-leaning team. Would it be discrimination to say you're not going to bring that person in because of their views, or are you actually just protecting the harmony of the office?
Exists, yeah.
And actually, are political views are not protected, are they?
I don't think so.
They're not, yeah, they're not. But if you was to bring somebody in and say because of their political views, like you're not going to hire them, I actually think that would be, I definitely think it would be okay. And I definitely think if you had a team which was generally quite left-leaning or even quite centrist, to be honest, and bringing in someone who, I don't know, volunteered with Reform and that was a big part of their life, I definitely think that would be disruptive.
Agreed.
But then what if it's the other way? Because, some things feel fine and some things don't. So let's say you had a very conservative group of people and then you were going to bring in this person who volunteered with, I don't know, Labour or the Green Party, or, he was a staunch supporter of Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana in their new mission, and you decided not to hire that person. That feels less acceptable, but that's just because of, I guess, our own personal politics.
Yeah, it might not feel that not unacceptable to a conservative. Like, yeah, no, of course I wouldn't hire them.
Yeah, but that's crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy, but I understand, especially when it's small companies. When you have really, really big companies, obviously, it makes sense that you're going to have people with different views, different political views, from different backgrounds. And when world affairs and like any current events happen, then I feel like you see it more in larger companies where people kind of stand with it. But in smaller companies, that must be so awkward. Like, it's better to avoid it where you can.
Yeah. I think about my company. It would be like throwing a grenade into the atmosphere to bring in somebody who
was crying over Charlie Kirk.
I was literally thinking that, if we were in a team meeting in like the company that I own, and everyone was like, oh, how are you feeling, or what's going on? It's like, oh, the Charlie Kirk stuff that happened, it's really gone to me. He was such a great Christian martyr and role model. Somebody could eject the person from the meeting, and then now we have disciplinary issues. You know what I mean? So I definitely think that I wasn't going to mention that on this episode or at all. I don't even want to give it anyway. Someone dying is a tragedy, of course, but I'm never going to mourn somebody who wouldn't have mourned me.
Yeah, my thing with all of that, like, not to spend or speak too much on it, my thing with all of that is it's the people coming out and saying, oh, it's such a shame about him. I promise you, half of them don't know what his actual views were. Yeah. They just know that he classes himself as a Christian, XYZ, but
so does Trump.
Actually, like, people like Sasha, like, it doesn't matter because,
I'm just going to go on the record, Sasha is a bird.
Oh my God, oh my God, look, the words just left my mouth and went into yours.
Sasha was in Crept and Sasha, Nala's baby crush. She's a bird. It's the beautiful bird.
She is. She's very pretty.
It's the beautiful bird, but she's a bird.
Oh my God. And when I was like, you literally have a daughter who is more black than white. Yeah.
Muslim.
Yeah. Like, her dad wants to raise her Muslim. Okay, maybe you're raising her Christian on this side, but there's Islamic influence there as well. And you thought it was a good idea to go on it. Why can't you keep that to yourself? Why does that have to make it to social media? I don't understand.
She's a bird. Like, every time I'm just like, listen, one thing as well, we like, money makes the world go around. We appreciate it. If I was Sasha, I would be everybody on mute.
That's why they removed her now on Nala's baby, because it's just easier.
Yeah, they removed her.
Make your money in silence now. Yeah, like, it's just too much.
Yeah, but
not that I care what she thinks, but just keep it to yourself. Because I am a Nala's baby consumer, so just keep it to yourself.
Would her views ever stop you from? Would the views of the owner of a company stop you from buying the products?
It has done.
But what if it was like this? Let's say, obviously, because I think it's different because we have Crept.
Yeah.
And we know that Crept has different views.
Yeah.
But if both of them were the same, would it stop you from...
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, gosh.
But yeah, so bringing somebody into the team to close the loop that has different views, like significantly, I think it's fair to think about it and to think about how the team will vibe. It's also something that came up in a couple of weeks ago we spoke about the Revolut job. That was posted. What role was it again?
It was an employee relations role.
An employee relations role, and we put it out on TikTok and Instagram, just a little snippet from that episode. And listen, I think the general consensus is that 7 is too many stages.
Too many.
But
it's too many.
Yeah, there was one which was that interview with team members or something. And I was a bit conflicted by it because a lot of people were saying, well, it's important to know if you're going to vibe with the team. And I guess sort of like what we're saying now. But I also just think that, do you need to get on with someone?
No.
Or do you just need to, there's a difference between being able to fit and work with someone and even to an extent like complement the existing team. You know, they say that thing about culture fit versus culture add. But I definitely think you shouldn't be interviewing people just to be like, are you going to get along with them?
No, you shouldn't. Also, I think people need to tailor interviews more to the role. Employee relations, I promise you, it's such a siloed, solo role. Like, even if you don't get on with your team, you guys will not notice. Yeah, like, it's fine. Like, you're doing it all on your own. It's such an autonomous role. You're doing investigations, disciplinaries, terminations. Like, you're not, unless it's like project work.
Yeah.
Which like
like a big large scale redundancy or something.
Exactly, like something real big. You're not going to be working with anyone on a day-to-day basis. So it's more important for them to be interviewed by like legal. Yeah. I spend way more time with legal than I do with my peers. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's people like that you need to be able to work with. The HRBP. Yeah. Fair enough, but not like your peer, like
need to be able to work with is different from getting along with. Like I have loads of colleagues, past, present, and probably future, who I can work with, have great working relationship, can even.
But you'll never be friends.
We're never going to be friends because we're just not each other's kind of person. Like we're never going to have that relationship. But we could work together really well because we're all professionals and we all are competent and we all have something to add. So I think when you're doing these team interviews. And it's very important to like not kind of disrupt the harmony of the workplace, but it should never be. Will I get along with this person? Or that's the kind of person I'd love to sit down for with a drink. Because first and foremost, I probably don't want to sit down with any of you for a drink. Yeah, but I don't need to want to go to the pub with you for us to have a great working relationship.
Yeah, no, for real, literally for real.
But I think that's what a lot of time they're interviewing for. Because 100%. Why are you interviewing with team members? No, but I need to understand why. Unless it's someone, I don't get it. Because you should be able to, the manager and anybody else in the process
to be able to gauge.
Should be able to gauge okay, what's this person's personality like? What's their communication like? How 100%. Will they fit with the people that are existing in the team? Sometimes it might be nice for that person to meet people in the team. Maybe as like an unofficial stage after, or even after the offer, you want to come in, let's meet the team. Or if that person particularly wants to meet the team.
Literally.
But I just don't see why the team members need to be.
Yeah, I almost dropped my phone.
I don't know why the team members need to be interviewing anybody.
They don't.
Unless they're doing some sort of technical interview where they're going to see like if the person will be good to do the activities that they do in the job. But most of the time it's not that. It's just, what do you think about this person? Do you quote unquote vibe with them? We don't need to vibe. We just need to work.
Vibe, It's given like Gen Z, but yeah.
Do you remember what question I asked you?
I do remember the question you asked me.
I'm going to get you to answer actually. So I had asked Velisa, I haven't even got the answer, but I said to Velisa, and sort of to do with the strikes, I think it was, we said I can't imagine a millennial manager asking somebody to come in when there's strikes going. Like, I just can't see that happening. And obviously there will be some. But I was saying, I wonder what it's going to be like, because now we have a lot of millennial managers. I wonder what it's going to be like when we have Gen Z managers.
And I said it could go either way, and you said it's going to be terrible.
I said it's going to be hell. And I mean, like, if nothing changes as they are now, Like, okay, tell me how you imagine it would go, what the traits and characteristics might be.
I think there's going to be a lot more empathy towards employees when Gen Z are in control, you know, like more understanding of home life, personal life versus work life and needing that balance.
Yeah.
I also think because of that, employees are, not all, will be less likely to take the piss because they have an understanding manager who is also an example and like, you know, is mirroring what they're saying. It's not just lip service, which is what a lot of millennial baby boomers, etc. do. Like, oh yeah, do what I say, not what I do.
I literally couldn't disagree. I couldn't disagree more with you. I think what you're describing is the millennial manager. Like, I think about myself, I think about you, I think about other millennial managers, especially the millennials that are kind of in our...
I have a millennial manager. He's younger than me.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I just think millennial managers are like that. Like the ones I work with, the stakeholders I have, they're very much like, oh, how is the person feeling? But it's like a good balance of, okay, we need to think about how you're feeling and how, fair. And also, but it's the productivity element that we still need to get work done. Because remember, our managers were those Gen Xers.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and boomers and stuff like that. So I think that has been ingrained in us, like the need to work. That's the thing. I think that
it's already in us.
Yeah, the empathy and all of that stuff, I think we have it. Maybe you could say that maybe we don't have it as much as Gen Z. I don't know, but
I think we don't. And I say that because I love my manager, by the way, caveat, but I have some friends who are managers and some of them have shocked me.
Do you know what? Fair.
Yeah, some of them have shocked me.
I'm probably one of them because I'm like, okay, genuinely, I care about how my team members are. I care about how the workforce is in general, but it will never be lost on me that we are here to work.
Yeah, I've heard some of my friends talk as managers, and I'm like,
it will never be lost on me. It will never be lost. I'm strict.
Yeah, you're strict.
Yeah, but you need to be strict at certain times in order to get work done. Like, and that's why I say I think it will be hell, because I think we could go so far left where it's like, okay, we need to think about employees, we need to manage them, we're responsible for their mental health and all of this stuff, which I don't agree with, but we're responsible for their mental health, and you know, we need to do all this stuff. I think it can go so far that way that we forget that work needs to be done. And I say that as an employee, you know, as a manager, as a self-employed person, as someone who runs like from all those different lenses, in any of those roles, I can recognize that we actually need to be here to work. And I think that's the difference. However, I remember when I was about 21, 22, 23, first entering the workplace, there was all this chat around millennials in the workplace, how they're like, you know, we like to job hop. Like we were the Gen Z, you know, when they were trying to figure us out and how we move in the workplace, what motivates us. You know, they said that we were lazy. Like all the things that they're saying about Gen Z, they said it about us too. So I think part of that, will be maturity, because what the older Gen Zs are, 27 now, 28 maybe?
26.
Yeah,
26.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's 1997. But yeah, let's say like 27, 28. So part of that will just be maturity. So we're literally judging people that are in their 20s, early 20s or mid 20s.
Some of them must be managers now though.
Yeah, some of them probably are managers now, but that's what we're judging them. So some of that is to do with the generation and how they've grown up and being like digital natives and stuff like that. And some of it is just to do with the fact that they are in their 20s and they're young and immature.
Yeah.
So some of that, I don't think we'll know fully what their views are and how they move in the workplace as employees or as managers until probably for another like 5-10 years, because they're just young and immature. So it's hard to separate what's to do with the youth and the immaturity. So for instance, when they get to 30, 32, 33, 35, they want to buy houses and they want to get married, and some of them.
But you know, Gen Z are the generation that are
likely.
They're looking at all of that stuff different. They don't want to have children as much. So even that, it might flip it on its head. Like now you feel a bit ashamed to come and say that you need to go on maternity or whatever it is, because
maybe
that's not what Gen Z
do.
do.
It's like we won't know until they want, even just forget even, you know, want to go on, they're going on nice holidays now. But you know, you want to do things that require more money. You might need more stability, things that might require more stability later. Maybe then we'll start to see, okay, are they actually, you know, wanting to stay in a job for a year like they say and move on? Or actually, was that just to do with the fact that their lives were very, you know, suited to that at the time? But I think as things are now, like I obviously did my dissertation in this, so I've always been very interested in generational studies, and it's like sort of my topic of interest and expertise. But I see it. I work with a lot of clients. I have a lot of peers that ask me for advice. Like with like Gen Z, I just think COVID really did a number of that on them. So the social skills are just a bit lacking, because when they were
heard about the Gen Z stare?
No.
Have you not? So apparently Gen Z do this thing where they stare at you, and some people take offense because they don't realize it's just kind of like a blank stare and it doesn't actually mean anything. And it's just a thing that they do.
But why?
Like they just do it. Like the Gen Z stare is a phrase coined by social media users to describe a blank stare that members of the younger generation give in situations where a verbal response would be more common.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I get you. Or understood.
But they'll just stare at you. To your point about COVID.
Yeah. I do think a lot of it is COVID.
Oh, look, it's got a wiki.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I was speaking to my younger brother. I said he's 24, and I was speaking to him about this, and he said that compared to, because obviously he has me and some other kind of millennials in his life and stuff, and he was just like, he thinks that the social skills of his generation are just really quite lacking. And I think some of that is that, like, a lot of these people, the first time of them having to like commune with people outside of their own home or school was the workplace. Yeah. So they didn't have that, even how you do, how you used to go and have to do project work, presentations, all of that stuff at uni. They didn't necessarily have that.
It does say, like, on the Wikipedia for possible causes, it does say COVID as like, which makes perfect sense.
Honestly, like just having to be in it, and then now you're entering the workplace and you're doing some of that remotely. So I just think if things are as the way they are, if things don't change now, from how they like behave, and I also think the stuff around wellbeing, I think generally, and I'm sounding like such a millennial, an older millennial as well, but I think there's a big difference between how we see wellbeing as, how different generations see wellbeing. Before millennials, it kind of just was not even something that was spoken about or anything like that. And then with millennials, I think we all have an awareness of our own kind of well-being and mental health, and maybe the idea that is for us to manage that. And I think when we think about work, we think work's role is to not damage that. Yeah. Whereas when I think about Gen Zs and how they are in the workplace, I feel like they have such much higher expectations for their employer. Like their employer needs to do more. Like if they are experiencing poor mental health, even if it's nothing to do with work, their employer is supposed to intervene. Their job needs to actively contribute to their mental health. It's not just about not harming it. It's about, and your job is do you know what I mean? I just think they have much higher expectations of what the employer is supposed to do. And it blows my mind every time, because I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I need to change. I can accept that. But I'm just like, what do you want your employer to do about certain things?
I think it depends. I think it varies, like I agree with you to a certain extent in terms of, some of them, like even in employee relations, when, they're saying, oh, they've raised a grievance, for example, and their manager never did this after they told them that this, and it's like, but like you should have gone to your GP. Like that wasn't
see
your,
that all
your manager
time.
is not your doctor, your therapist, your psychologist. They're not your Pilates instructor. Like they're not. Do you know what I mean? Then it's up to you to have autonomy over what you need for your well-being, and then also seek out the right professionals. You're probably better off talking to benefits than your manager about that stuff.
I over the last probably 3 years, I've seen a lot of grievances or just conflicts or things where employees are saying,
their manager should have done something.
My manager didn't check on me. My manager didn't do this. My manager didn't do that. Like, and it's nothing to do with your work. But let's say you tell your manager you're having a hard time. What's your manager supposed to do at that point? They can say, okay, let me know if you need extra time or you need time off, or let me know if you want to talk about it. But then it's the idea that, your manager should then follow up with you. And obviously, as just a normal empathetic person, if it's something big like a bereavement, you're going to, like, I think most people would be like checking in with that person very regularly, like, how are you getting on, blah, blah, blah. But then it could be if they said, oh, I'm having a really hard time outside of work. Okay, Number one, your manager has no idea if you want to talk about it, has no idea how they can help you. They might have checked in on you, had that conversation one time, or a breakup or something like that. I've seen it with breakups a lot. Like, I had a breakup and my manager hadn't even checked on me to see how my well-being is. That whole, my manager didn't check on me to see how my well-being is when I've had a breakup or I've had a hard situation. I don't know. And then that's now a grievance. Like, it's like, that's like something you should have done that you didn't do.
But I also think that's because some managers, there's no standard that all managers stick to when it comes to showing empathy or care towards their employees. For example, like, you have managers, when it's someone's birthday, happy birthday, and that's it. You get other managers who maybe one above, there's, they bring in a few crosstown donuts and there's a card signed by everyone. And then you get the manager that's going to say, we're going to book a meeting room, we're going to have cakes in there, we're going to have, do you know what I mean?
Obviously you're not a manager at the moment, but what would your stance be?
I think I would go middle ground, like some treats and a card.
You don't want to know what I do, but
I know which one you are. You're the lowest tier.
Yeah, I am. I will say happy birthday. If it's on a day that you're at work, it's going in Teams chat. If you're not at work, I'll text you. Yeah, as soon as we have that kind of relationship. Or if we don't, when you get back, it will go in the Teams chat. How was your birthday? How did it go? Happy birthday. Everyone we can write in the Teams chat, but
so you get the different
I just don't think I just think it causes issues.
It's like, so for example, my team is coming over from various parts of the world next month, yeah? And it's 3 of their birthdays, like, in very close, like, proximity and dates. And I was like to my manager, are we not doing anything for them? He was like, yeah, like, we can. So
I'm with your manager.
I'm organising, and I want to make sure that there's a happy birthday song.
Haven't you seen the cases about this?
I have, but I have good relationships with them, so it's fine. It's fine.
Velisa versus coming to...
Also, they're not from the UK. Do your worst.
No, because that's the kind of thing that could actually cause issues. You do something for someone's birthday, maybe because it's on a day that you're in the office together.
And then, even to keep it more standard to what you were saying, even when someone is sick, for example, it can borderline harassment if your manager is checking on you too much, because there's some people, and this is why I always say to people when they like talk about this stuff with me, set the standard of what you want when you go off on long-term sick. If you're someone who wants your manager to message you every day, tell them that it's fine. If you're not okay with that, set the standard, like, look, it's too much for me to be messaged every day. I would prefer a weekly check-in, a bi-weekly check-in.
You've just reminded me of something. Put a pin in it for next episode.
Okay. But yeah, like, you just need to control that whole situation. Like, their WhatsApp. I've had someone via House of HR say, my manager is checking up on me to see if I'm okay via WhatsApp or my personal number. Like, if you don't like that, say something. Say it. You know?
You can't please people sometimes. They're saying that we don't have empathy.
I know.
Now we're checking on you.
Yeah, it has to be balanced. It has to be balanced.
Anyway, let's see what they're like when they become managers.
Yeah,
I just think it's
should have one on.
This is not a Gen Z hate podcast, but I do think that there's just different expectations, and I do think that Gen Z is just a little bit more insular. Like, they care most about themselves.
They do,
which
more
is
selfish,
actually how most people probably are.
Naturally,
but I think it just shows up more. So I think when they have to manage people that are like themselves. So when you have something to deliver and someone says to you that they need a duvet day because they're watching the news and it's just got a bit too much for them, which might be a valid thing to say.
That's so jokes, man.
I've had that. Like, everything in the world is just getting a bit much for me, so I need a duvet day.
That's mad. So, no. That's mad.
But again, that is more likely to come from someone in Gen Z. So when they have to manage people,
being millennial and African, that's no.
So when they have to manage someone and they have something to deliver, and then people in their team are saying that the events of the world, which are not going to get any better, are too much for them, so they have to have a duvet day, it will blow their mind, because again, that selfishness is going to make them want to be able to do their own job.
But that stuff is like, how they always say the millennial generation, like, we're the ones who saw 9/11, we're the ones who saw 7. We've seen like literally COVID, we've been through the motions. So for someone to say they need a duvet day for what, like Trump's been re-elected, like come on, like.
Yeah, but that's the difference. You know what I mean? How are we going to manage that? Especially when you have people who are, you know, they understand it. So you might have a manager, you might say it to your manager actually genuinely might understand that if they're in the same generation or they have the same kind of thinking as you.
Mate, if I said that to my HR director, I remember when I was at work when Brexit happened, my HR director would have been like, and you're literally having a laugh right now. Like, but he's a boomer, so.
Then you could end up a tribunal.
Yeah, no, for real. If I knew what I knew now, I would have. But yeah. Anyways. Great episode, guys.
This episode was sponsored by Teamflect. Try it out for free at teamflect.com. Like, comment, subscribe.
That's a wrap, guys.
Bye.